Sorry, I'm Mike.
Here, host,
I'm
builder, and
unmuted.
founder of Bringing Humanity Together. You know what today is? It is Wonderful Wednesday. Welcome, everyone, to our Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace, humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there that are facing people today because it is our goal, I dare say, our mission, our passion, our purpose, our calling that is to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Please feel free to invite your friends, colleagues, co-workers, your furry friends, those lazy co-workers that sit beside you and say, it's a live stream yet? Where's it at? I need a live stream. We'd like to have them on board too as well. And remember, as always, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, and every Thursday, we have our live streams. And of course, Sharon, Karen, and Standy's on Tuesday. I host Conversation for Humanity on Wednesday. And Thursday is hosted by none other than Caller Finnegan for Humanity Happy Hour. And as you jump on, whether to be our LinkedIn business page, I've been LinkedIn business page, but I'm thinking LinkedIn business page while I'm on one of those days. Our Facebook business page, our LinkedIn Live page, which is my personal page, and also our YouTube channel. Feel free to put in the chat or the comment section of those platforms where you are watching from. Where also you want to be engaging with us on our topic today or show topics for future use, all that kind of stuff. We would like to hear from you and also have a one-on-one with you too as well. So please feel free to comment in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. We would love to hear from that. And if you even are watching this on the replay on all three platforms, please feel free to use the hashtag replay on it. And also, we like to have a conversation with you after that. So we have a big group with us today. We have Nancy Bell with us today and Dan Aiello today. So thank you for joining us today here at Conversation for Humanity. And Edward, Edward, thank you for joining us. The live link, Edward, let me send it to you real quick so you can join in. It will be in the top very comment of the live link. So let me get with you right quick, Edward, and we'll get everybody on board here in a second. So thank you for joining us. So go right down here, how to join the show. Edward, here we go. You will have that reply to you in just a quick second, and that's how you join us. So I'll go to you, Miss Nancy Bell. What really intrigued you about our conversations that you've been seeing, and what really resonates with you?
Well, the first thing that resonated with me was the whole fact that I believe that people do need to help each other, and we need to help ourselves on an ongoing basis. But at some point when we look up, we have to realize that we've learned something along the way, and being able to pass it along to other people should be a natural reaction for most people. They just don't always know how to do it. So by you creating a platform for people to be able to exchange ideas and check what are your successes, what are your questions, what are your challenges, if there's other people around, the group can come up with better understanding collaboratively than you can usually do all just by yourself. So if you get in with a group where you see ideas are flowing together, that's the group you want to be in. And it might be for a day, it might be for a year, it might be something you retire doing. But as long as you're in there and you see this positivity coming through the joint effort, that's a good thing to be involved in. So I decided to give this a try.
Well, absolutely, Nancy. We're so thankful and honored that not only you saw our conversation yesterday and it really spoke to you, and we're glad that you're even here with us today. So thank you so much to enjoy this great and engaging conversation with everybody today. And next up is a good person that I just met today. His name is Dan, and he wants to join Bringing Humanity Together. And I was just so intrigued by it. And you guys share it with us, Dan. What really intrigued you to want to join our organization? We want to hear that from you.
Sure. Well, hey, everybody, welcome. Just a lot of, from reading it, reading through this, kind of like the mission statement or what the organization was about. seeing that it was reaching into entrepreneurs and employees and helping different people in different industries. It just, I don't know, hit on every checkbox I have. Just because I'm at a stage where, coming from a corporate background, I guess a very strict corporate background, if that makes sense. I'd like to do something to help and just dedicate my time and any skills I have to help the better good of people, yeah. And excited to do.
I was just so I don't want to say impressed, but I was just really just in awe because I just posted our new application page on LinkedIn just the day before yesterday. And next thing you know, Dan already filled it out, and I gave him a call and had a call with him this morning. And I'm like, my gosh, this is amazing. So, like I said, we're just so thankful and honored that you're even are wanting to be a part of this, and we greatly appreciate that. And Edward, if you want to join us, I already sent you the link, so please join us when you can. Miss Sandy, we got to find out who said this. We already got the comments coming in.
Okay.
And I believe this might be, I call now a Grahamism, but no. The first one, I'm going to show up here, and I want to get your take on it, Sandy, because you probably know it better than our other guests. But who said this?
Brian.
That would be correct. Brian Sumner, please join us, sir. We would love for you to join today. And then Graham said, what's the topic today? Graham said this to Brian.
What if commitment is a chore? That's, that's so great.
That is Graham. That is Graham. What we'll be talking about today, ladies and gentlemen, is about the one opportunity to become a person bigger than of ourselves, from embracing the environment that's there within. And what I'll be showing with you today is a video from YouTube. Is from Daniel, or is it Daniel Sievers or Craig Sievers? Let me see his name. I want to get his name right. Derek Sievers. Yeah, Derek Sievers. He's got a YouTube channel, and he actually did a TEDx on it. And what he ended up doing is he went to this music festival, and he saw these people doing something, and it really just showed him about leadership. If you guys watch it, you will get to understand not only how leadership is interconnected to what things happen in our day-to-day lives, but how we can also see that environment from that perspective, not only from a leadership dynamic, but truly from the partnership dynamic. Because I don't believe in employees anymore, because to me, employees are just basically a way of doing things. I see a better path for humanity. I truly believe when you are investing in others to such an extent that the next currency of humanity is not going to be rooted in money, it's going to be rooted in value. And if you showcase that value to people each and every single day, and they feel in their heart of hearts that it's tangible to them and they know it, then next thing you know, they will go to the ends of the earth with you, not for you, but with you. Because see, there's a huge distinction between working and for. Because I made that determination about 15 years ago. I said to myself, I need to be working with people, not for people, and everything. And this is what Brian just said back to Graham. Interesting question. How are you with things you must do? And then he comes back and says, describing it's a chore is part of being a commitment. Still doesn't change the notion that if we are truly committed, it leads to freedom. Brian, you got to join us, sir. And Graham, I still need that dinner from Texas Roadhouse. You got to join us, sir. We greatly appreciate that, because you guys are just adding so much value on that conversation. And Miss Carla will be on here shortly and everything like that.
Okay,
but like I said, I truly believe that if you create that environment that will create better results, to me, the best investment is the human investment. If you invest your time with people and you do it from a genuine place of intentionality, authenticity, willing to not say that I know it all, and this is what I learned from Brian too as well. Even from a place of leadership, we should have the will and the human understanding that a person in leadership doesn't need to have all the answers all at the same time. Maybe I go to Sandy and say, hey, Sandy, I don't know what this is about, but can you help out? Sandy, I need your insights on it. Same thing, I'll go to Dan for something, or I'll go to Nancy for something. Because, see, this is what I've learned from my father at a very young age, that you don't need to know everything, but you need to know a little bit about everything. And if you understand that, I truly believe that, like I said, we can just really impact humanity in a great human way, because when we are in alignment with one another, and that alignment is there, what's going to end up happening? What Sandy does will correlate to what I do. Same thing. What I do will start correlating with Dan does, or with Nancy, or Carla, or Anno, or whoever that might be, Graham, Brian. And once we see that alignment, we can not only build upon what's already there in the alignment kind of dynamic, but we also can recognize the things that are not in alignment to one another. We can say, hey, I recognize the model of the world of everybody's model and what they work under and how they actually view the world. And I truly believe if you can step outside of even your model of the world and see what works good for Dan, or works good for Sandy, or works good for Nancy or Carla, whatever, I truly believe that, we can really see the other side of the fence, so to speak, and see how other people truly are working under that model, and really get to understand it. It's like what Brian has taught me so well in, when you get into an opportunity or a conversation, you can have three things come before you. Number one, we can go seek to understand it, whatever that opportunity or conversation plays before us. Number two, we can buy into it at any given time. We can do that. And then number three, we don't have to buy into anything at any given time at all either. But at least on all 3 points, though, what we can do is recognize and respect what has been given to us at that given time, and be respectful of everything, and just take it all in everything. Hello, Miss Carla.
Hey, how are you?
You have to introduce yourself. We got some guests on today.
The bottom line here, Chris, is that we're trying to help people. I mean, that's what bringing humanity back into the workplace is all about. And it's why Carla and I both went into healthcare. And now we're just helping people in different ways. And this is a great way to help people, because with the soft skills and with, the things that we're going to help them with, it helps them to be successful in every aspect of their lives, because communication skills and stress management and time management, it's not just for work. It's for your life in general. And if you can manage to do those things well, then you're going to get along better with your family, with your friends, in volunteer work, and at work as well. And it's just, it's just something that I think makes people feel good when you're helping someone else and you see that it's been a benefit. Well, it's a great feeling. I mean, it really is. It's wonderful to be able to help somebody to be better. And, why not? I mean, I just think it's so much fun. I really do. I have such a good time.
We have fun on these calls. Yes, we do, Sandy.
Yeah,
yes,
we do. Absolutely. They're informative, they're interesting, and they're fun. And we always have a good time. And that's because everybody contributes. And we're, moving towards helping businesses and employees to be better. And, if they're better, they're going to be long lasting and they'll be more successful. So it's just a matter of helping them to understand what they need to do to make that happen. And again, I've said this a million times, it's not rocket science.
I wanted to build on
The minute you said "and," I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
I wanted to build on something that I heard you guys discussing on the show yesterday, and it had to do with the creation of an environment that made people comfortable to work in. And one of the things that I know will make a comfortable situation better is to allow people a safe place to be able to let you know what they can even do. Because there are skills that are sitting there, and until someone feels like bringing those skills forth, you don't even know that they're there. Once you get to know the people that you're working in a safer environment, not safe from gunshots alone, but safe to be able to speak, then people can start to share what they know. If they're really good at something, you don't have to know how to do everything. You can say, I can't do this, but I know someone who does. Let me go talk to them. Or if you're saying, I almost know how to do this, but if I only could learn this much more, I'd feel that I had more complete information, and then I could do it. So bringing the skill level up, being able to recognize where the talent is, and having an environment where people can share this information will take you much further down the road instead of being in a room where everybody's a stranger. That's what I liked about the panel that you had yesterday. Not only did you sound authentic, but you guys were respectful and friendly. It was a very safe environment to share your comments. None of you looked nervous to talk at all yesterday. That's what you need to find when you have groups coming together, and I like that.
Well,
We really appreciate that, Nancy, so much. We really appreciate that. So I'm going to start us off with that video that's from TEDx and Derek Sievers, and I'm going to play the majority of the video because it goes on to TEDx stuff, and I don't want it to taking all that time up, but it's going to be about 6 minutes in total. Please watch it and see how it can. Say that again?
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But like I said, once you watch it, look at it from a prism, not only from a leadership dynamic, but a momentum dynamic, and also how people can embrace that environment that's there for them to not only participate, but also engage and get more people in. So let me share my screen here. And we'll go to Chrome tab. Here we go. And it's basically titled on YouTube, and I'll put the YouTube link here shortly in. It's how to start a movement, and that's the name of the video. And once you guys see that, and I'll bring it full screen so you guys can see it in a way. So here we go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, at TED, we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes, and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course, you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore. It's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out. They won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, Ted. Thanks.
You're muted, Chris. You're muted.
Now, isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts with that, Nancy?
I'm sorry.
What's your thoughts with that, Nancy?
Well, I was actually whisked back into the early 70s when I became a part of a movement when they first started integrating the schools. And I grew up in Detroit. So in 1967, the summer of the riots, I started kindergarten. And over the next couple of years, I saw a lot of change go on in Detroit. And I became a part of the movement to peacefully integrate the schools. I grew up in a neighborhood that was predominantly Italian-American, and within a couple of years, it was predominantly African-American because there was a great Southern migration to Detroit for automotive jobs. So by the time I was in the third grade, I was being bused from the Black community to a predominantly all-white school. I can't tell you how confusing that was. I was with the Black community, but not really. I was with the white community, but not really. And I had to start a movement among the students to learn how to play nice. It started with me getting beat up a couple of times. And then after that, we found some peaceful ways to overcome those barriers. And I know that bringing in change is sometimes a matter of choice. Oh, I just feel like, doing something for the good of it. And then there are other times when there are real issues that are going on and you kind of get pulled into it and you learn your lessons that way. I became very interested in becoming a power through my voice in bringing in peace. So started with the peaceful integration. I was a student ambassador for peace to Israel by 1978. And the movement for peace is just something that's always been in my life, whether it was the issues of yesterday or issues of midway through my life or the issues that are going now. We have to start building a common ground. And if there are issues, the common ground are questions on how to solve those issues. Coming up with ideas means not only having them, it means listening to them. You were touching upon that yesterday. So I was in listening mode when you called on me because I was reliving how I got pulled into my first movement. I believe that happened for a reason, and I've been a teacher ever since. I could go on all day, so somebody better talk, or I'm going to keep talking. Okay, I'll keep it. It did have an impact on my life.
So, Dan, what was your thoughts on that video we just saw?
Yeah, I was the first one to follow the crazy dancer because the first one that said, "Get up, we can do something about this." I followed him because I wanted to do something about it. And I've seen it where, okay, my first thoughts on there is that doesn't always work until you can get a variety of people to stand up. So, for example, when I first started working on the integration issue, it was easy for me to have some of my Black friends that I knew from my neighborhood to get up with me, but they wanted to wait and see if there were other Black kids that were going to get up first. The white kids that I made friends with in the new school, they saw that I was white, but I wasn't from around there. I had to get a couple of them to get up with me. So you have to go where the opposing sides are and get members from both groups to come in, and then you begin to see an influx like that. The example was really good because in a generic situation it would work. But what if you're in a situation where there's tensions? How do you get past the tensions? You have to find the gatekeepers from both sides. And if you believe in what they're saying, then when they start saying it with you and they believe in what they're saying too, That's how you get that movement going, even in a conflict situation. And I think that I just wanted to point out the difference, because everybody has fun at a Tupperware party, but what do you do when there's conflict? That was my suggestion. How do you get into conflicts? You got to cut somebody from both sides to join you. And it's not always easy.
Correct.
You have to be honest, you have to mean what you say, and you have to be willing to work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dan, your thoughts on what we've seen so far today from that video?
Sure. I would piggyback on that, and I mean, I agree 100% in the fact that you know, honesty and transparency goes such a long way, but it's really all we have, but I could see following the leader or getting your group riled up and you being the example. But it's I got from that kind of from example, and I think that's you know, so important. And yeah, yeah. I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, that's I guess that's all I got that I can think of. But I mean, I could go on a different examples of times where, you know, you lead by example, or people will definitely follow you if they believe in what you say, and that comes back to the integrity thing. And there's nothing worse than sometimes leading. I'm sure we've all been in this position where you might be leading a group into a decision, or, you know, into a boardroom, or into a sale that you may not really want, you know, you may not really like, or maybe you don't believe in what your company's doing or personally doing, but nothing's best if you really believe in your cause, and then taking the lead from there. Because I think people will follow you if they see your intent is genuine. So. But that's all I got.
Can I ask you a question? Because I think you know the answer to this already. Why do you think transparency is so important? I agree with you. But why do you think that it makes a difference for you?
Oh, it's just especially in the leadership position, you get to see where everybody's at. And you know, that could be very difficult to really get a sense of how somebody's thinking. If they're transparent and they're genuine, then it just makes it easier for you to relate to them, or pair them, or lead them, or make it however, you know, works for you. But yeah, just gives you a sense of where everybody's at. I think that's it.
Good, thank you.
Miss Sandy, your thoughts?
Well, I believe that different groups, I don't care what color you are, I don't care what your religion is, I don't care about any of those things. I only really care in the end if you are a good person, and if you are, you know, nice to other people and helpful to other people. It's the only thing that matters to me. I don't understand all this racism and, you know, stuff. I mean, I went to university in the States, and here in Canada, we have more Black people here now, but when I was a kid, and even when I was a university student, we have very, very few Black people here. And so when I was in the States, what really disturbed me was the assumption that if a Black person was hanging around, they were probably going to do something bad. And I always looked at that and I thought, like, what kind of an assumption is this? Especially, you know, when they were students and whatever. And I mean, I like to talk to different people. And the other day when Yale and I were out, when we were at Costco, actually, and I was by the meat counter, and the roasts that were in there, you ready for this, guys? They had roasts that were $84. There was a Black guy standing there, and he was looking at the meat. And I said, well, why don't you buy the roast? It's only $84. He goes, I know. It's just ridiculous. He said, I hardly eat any meat anymore because the prices are just nuts. I said, well, I can understand that. We don't eat it either. but he said that, and the comment he made was that because where Costco is, the Costco we were at, it's in a southern suburb of the city, and that southern suburb is about 80% Chinese. And the Chinese have a lot of cash, and that's how they don't use credit cards. They just buy everything with cash. They even buy houses with cash, if you can believe this. Millions of dollars, they bring it in a suitcase. It's crazy. Anyway, he said, well, they don't care. They'll just buy it. I said, yeah, well, most of us aren't in that position. So, it doesn't work for most of us. If it works for them, that's fine. I guess, they're lucky. Because he said to me, I was talking to a little Chinese boy, and he told me his dad had $2 million in cash. What?
Yeah, I know.
So, to me, I just think that leadership is a very important aspect of our lives and of our business lives and even, in volunteer work and other situations. And I think that people who are authentic and who are helpful and who listen well, it's the old John Maxwell, listen, learn, lead. If we don't know the people that we're supposed to be leading, how can we be good at it? Because the job of the leader is to help people fulfill their potential. And you can't do that if, like what you said, Nancy, if you don't know what their skills are and what they would like to do. And so that's why you have to listen well. You have to pay attention to what people are looking for and what they would like to do and what their potential is. Because the role of a leader is to help people fulfill that potential. And when they do, their self-esteem rises, their confidence rises, and that means that they're going to work better. So it's very important to be a good listener. And we're not taught to listen. We know that you're supposed to be hearing things, but we're not actually taught how to listen. And hearing is an ability, unless you're hearing impaired. Listening is an art. And it's something that you have to learn how to do because it requires focus and it requires concentration and it requires really paying attention to the speaker without interrupting them and without being rude and, all these different things, but really listening well and then giving them some feedback to show them that you actually respectfully listen to them. And that will enhance your relationships because very few people are really listened to respectfully. When you can show someone that you actually heard everything they said, then that's going to enhance your relationship. And it's just a matter of paying attention and taking the time to remove other distractions because it's very hard to listen when there's side talking, when there's business machines making noise, when there's traffic out there making noise or construction noise or different kinds of things that are very distracting. And it's hard to focus on one person talking when you got all this other stuff going on and people don't realize that. Important conversations need to be taking place in a quiet place, in a room where there's not a lot of people coming in and out and there's not a lot of extra noise, extraneous noise and side talking and so on and so forth. Because otherwise it's going to be very difficult to hear what that person is saying and for any length of time at all. So it's really important when you have an important conversation that you pick an appropriate place to have it so that you can actually hear what that person is going to say to you. Because listening is an art. And it's something that in order to get good at it, you have to practice it. But you have to understand what to do in order to be a good listener. A lot of people think they are, but they're not.
Right.
They're really not. And it's just a matter of understanding. And, in my experience, active listening is the most important communication skill. And people who can't do it end up with a lot of confusion, miscommunication, disappointment, resentment, because they don't get what they want. And I always tell people also, don't ask them if they understood you, because everybody's going to say yes, because they don't want you to think that they're stupid or that they weren't paying attention. But it doesn't mean they actually heard you. Better to ask them this question: what do you think I expect of you? And then you can actually hear if they heard you and if they got what the message that you were trying to impart to them, so that you'll know that in the end you have a far better chance of getting what you need or what you want.
Correct.
But just asking them if they understood you, it's not good enough, because really everyone will just say yes. And that doesn't help us because we're not mind readers. We don't know what's actually going on in the person's mind. And I think I told you guys that when I do my active listening workshop, I have a little video that I show that's an SCO talking to her management team, and they're all sitting there looking at her. So she assumes, and you take the word assume, you break it up, and makes an ass out of you and me. So we shouldn't be assuming. But she thinks that they're listening to her, but you get to hear what's going on in their heads, which normally, we don't get to do. And, one woman is sitting there with a handout going, oh, God, why do we keep getting this same handout every time? I've seen it a million times. I don't need this, So a big wall comes down and she didn't hear anything else that the manager, the chairman is saying. And then my favorite one is this guy. He's sitting there and he's looking at the CEO and he's going, gee, that's a really nice scarf Jessica has on. My wife's birthday is next week. I'm going to ask Jessica after the meeting where she got her scarf. I'm going to get one for my wife. So, again, when a person is hungry, tired, not feeling well, or has a problem of their own, they're not going to hear most of whatever anybody is saying, because all those other things supersede anything that you're going to say to them. In addition, if they're too hot or they're too cold, because they're uncomfortable, then that again is going to interfere with their ability to listen very well. And it's a matter of understanding that because we're not mind readers, we don't actually know what's going on in the person's mind. And a lot of times just looking at them because they're looking at you doesn't mean they're listening to you. They may look like they are, but we can't tell for sure what they actually heard unless we get some feedback so that we find out, in fact, if they did hear what we were saying. Because it's, again, listening is an art and very few people are good at it. Everybody thinks they know how, but the truth is we're not taught. And so most of us are not very good at it. And it's a matter of, and some people come to a conversation with a preconceived idea of what's going to happen in this conversation. And a big wall comes down inside their head. So they don't listen to anything you say because they've already decided what you're going to tell them. And a lot of times that's not what is being told. And so they miss the whole thing because they'd already decided ahead of time what was going to be said. So there are lots of things that interfere with a person being able to listen well. And if we understand what those are, then we can put them aside. Or, you can say to a person, you know what, I don't think I can listen today. I'm really not feeling very well. I don't think I can concentrate. So can we have this conversation another time? That's just being honest.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And the person would probably appreciate it because otherwise, they're going to talk their heart out to you and you're just not going to be taking it in. So it's a waste of time.
Correct.
So it's just a matter of figuring out. And again, leaders, it's not about you. It's about your people. And you're working with these people. So you want them to be the best they can be. So you want to help them. And the only way you can help them is if you listen. Because if you listen, you learn, and then you're going to be able to lead better. It's so much better. And it's just a matter of, again, I say this over and over again, active listening is the most important communication skill because it's the cornerstone of everything that we do. And if we don't know how to listen, then we're going to miss a lot of stuff. You miss opportunities, you miss all sorts of things. It's like you said, Nancy, sometimes people have ideas. And if they feel like they've been listened to, then they will continue to share those ideas. But if they don't feel that they've been listened to, then we miss opportunities because we're not going to hear from these people. Correct. So it's very important to value people and encourage them to share their creativity and whatever, because it's a win-win for everyone.
That it is.
You have to acknowledge the problems that people have in being trusting. Because we talked about the racial disparities as one example, but there are cultural differences, there are gender differences, there are people that are overweight that have had people, make comments about their weight, they shut them down and it didn't even get to their ideas. You have to be able to identify where the trust issues are coming in, because you'll never get to the creative ideas as long as people have not had you help them to get past the trust issues. By not attacking them, by accepting who they are, by being able to agree to disagree on some issues, but making sure that you're still going in the same direction. When you talked about the man that was at the counter that was black and you both agreed that $84 for a roast was not a good thing, you found common ground. and you get past any differences that might have otherwise interfered with the pleasant conversation.
Well, we had a nice conversation. I mean, my husband said to me afterwards, "How come you talk to everybody?" I said, "Because I like to."
You can't say that you're for humanity if you become exclusive, because every one of us are human, are part of humanity. You have to be able to understand what the differences are and be able to work together anyway. And
Right.
As I said, Nancy, I don't care. I mean, I honestly don't care. I mean, we have all kinds of friends. We have East Indian friends. We have Chinese friends. We have Japanese friends. We have Black friends. I mean, we've got, people that we know who are Italian, we even have some Arab friends, scary as that may sound, seems how I'm Jewish. but we do.
Yeah.
And, again, I don't care as long as they're a good person. And
I do care. And I want to tell you why. Because it's a different perspective. I have not only learned to get along with people in Detroit, which was my neighborhood, I said again, was predominantly Black. It wasn't enough for me to just be able to get along with them. I also had to understand why they were having problems with other white people. What have white people done to you to make you feel this way? Not just historically, but what happened to you? And there were issues with police. There was issues with housing. There was issues with clothes. There was issues with schools. There was issues with healthcare. And it's not to be able to get along with them. I had to also be able to understand why what was working for me wasn't working for them, and to show them what I learned and see whether or not it was something that they could also do. There is unquestionably pockets of this country that still exercise a great deal of racism. There are pockets in the industries that are very misogynistic. The women that are producing at the same or better level than men are still being mistreated, or still being treated with, inappropriate comments or behaviors around them. Or they might be Asian, or they might be Arabic, or they might be too tall or too short. The fact that we have differences that causes people to cluster with their own groups, then they become like a gang. Although, not like a street gang, but they become a gang that becomes intimidating to go against. And in that situation, you have locked out the contributions because you have made your way the standard. So listening skills, accepting people, understanding where they're coming from. It's not a matter of saying, well, you don't trust white people, so you're wrong. No, they had legitimate reasons. How do we now learn to come together and work? Became a part of police community relations. Start going to school board meetings. Start talking with people that were on welfare that didn't know how to get past the hurdle that they were on. Because when we were being trained, I said, you have got to do the talking behind the closed doors that they can't get into. And you've got to bring your expertise out. You've got to educate people, not only by the role model that you are, but by sharing the knowledge that you learned on how to create a more peaceful environment. And shared goals, common grounds, and a building of trust, they're necessary if you're dealing with human beings. Whether you're here in Saudi Arabia, Australia, or Britain, it doesn't matter. I did work with people that were Nigerian when we were addressing the AIDS. The reaction to the people that were in Eastern Nigeria when they first started testing positive for AIDS was to kill the people that were testing positive for AIDS, because the CEO of my organization went over there to start teaching about prevention for AIDS. They didn't want to accept his knowledge, and he became immediately at risk. So we could say, but we're right. There are ways that you can be tested. There are, different kinds of medications that can prolong your life. It didn't matter how right you think you are. You have to go into the culture and see what they're dealing with, and then help to educate them over time, and realize that as you're teaching them, they're teaching you. Because I learned how to do more effective meetings following the village rules of first you take care of yourself, then you take care of your family, then you can take care of your village, and then you can look at your country. But if you don't have your individual self together, don't come in here telling the village what to do. And that has been incorporated into my training since. So it wasn't just, I know better and I'm going to teach you. It was an exchange of ideas, and I had to acknowledge them that what they were teaching me was just as important. is
Well,
what I was
Nancy,
teaching them.
well, Nancy, I, and I've said this many times, and this is what I truly believe. And we're going to go to Carly here in a second, and then we'll go to Dan. If you meet people where they are, and just meet them where they are at, you can understand where they're coming from. Again, from their model of the world, and
Yes.
understand that, and recognize that, and honor that. And if you can do that, I believe you can really uplift and inspire humanity in the likes of which humanity not seen probably in generations. But I'll go to you, Miss Carla, because you have something on your heart that you want to share, correct? Something about a internet guy.
Okay. Well, let me say what I was going to say first, and then you can share that. Okay. A lot of different things are hitting home for me, and I love that video that you had, Chris, about it starts with 1, and then it goes to 2, and it goes to 3, and then it was interesting how people started to join in, and then all of a sudden it became a fear of missing out, of FOMO, and that was the way the movement got started. But I remember when I first started with this group, I thought, what do I know? What do I have to contribute? I'm a nurse, have been a nurse for almost 40 years, and all I knew was nursing. I have my own business now, but it was different, and I had a hard time wrapping my mind around the concept of getting to know the group and being able to say, what can I contribute to the group, as opposed to them looking at me like a job interview and saying, let's see if you fit the boxes, and I realized with issues in the workplace that it dawned on me that no matter what the industry, and the Lord knows I've seen it in 40 years of healthcare, they struggle. So I took that from Chris's vision onto how I could help in terms of what I had seen in healthcare. And it has just opened, out through conversations just like this, it has just opened up my eyes to the need for what we have to offer the world. And I do believe that there are plenty of people out there that need what we're offering to them and building here. I do believe that the best way to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to dozens is through authenticity and transparency and showing people who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, because you have to, no matter what you're doing, I don't think you're selling pencils on the street corner. They're not going to buy from you if they don't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you. And that comes through with authenticity and showing your transparency, telling people what you're about. Then I like what you were saying about getting to know the people in Africa that were dealing with AIDS. It brought back memories of 2000. I went on medical missions to Haiti for 9 years, and it was really shunned upon in the Haitian community if you tested positive for AIDS. If anybody found out about it, they would have killed you. And very similar to problems in Africa. And I found that was so horrible because it could happen to any of us. It wasn't necessarily bound by ethnicity. I'm not going to say race because I believe that there's only one race in this world, and that's the human race with several ethnicities. But AIDS was not restricted to only African people, only Haitian people, only Black people. It transcended all ethnicities and all genders, male and it did not discriminate, But what we had to do was to get the trust of the people that we were working with and teach them how they could slow down the spread of AIDS because they knew nothing. A lot of the Haitians thought that they were just possessed by the devil. because they still believe in them. They believe that they are possessed. And I remember the priest that I knew down there. In fact, he actually came to the States when I got married, and I had a priest at my wedding. But he was telling us stories about how they would do chants not for people that felt like they were possessed. So, I mean, you really got to get to know the culture. I was asking in the private comments if he had the LinkedIn article that somebody posted, and I shared it in our group, about a cable guy that had come to service a woman's house, and she had been taking care of her 2 kids and doing laundry, dealing with a baby, and trying to do all the things he needed to do with the best he could do. And I love the article that this young man had said, he could have looked at the situation and said, I'm going to get the heck out of here just as soon as I can. This is chaos here. This is crazy, whatever. But what he did was he actually fixed the problem and actually helped the mom out. He led with his humanity, and he didn't have to do that. He did it out of the goodness of his heart, and it's great to see that there are still people like that in this world. And I think his name is in the article, isn't it, Chris? I don't have it in front of me. I think it's towards the bottom, but I just thought that was such a fantastic representation of leading with your humanity and helping other people out. Can you read it? This is a letter that somebody wrote. Want me to read it?
Got you on mute again, Key.
Dear Spectrum Internet, today your technician Robert came to our house to upgrade our internet and help set up TV streaming. He walked into a mess. My son Sailor, a 3-year-old, his 3 years old. He was born with 2 rare brain defects and is blind. He's unable to communicate, and his needs. And today he had been rough for him. He's been crying all morning. I've been trying to soothe him while also
We're all human beings.
Daughter.
I don't believe there's only one race, and it's human race. And I don't know what all this racism talk is about anyway. I just look at everybody.
I got a back pain or something. Oh, you. I don't know what that background noise was.
Yeah, but like keep reading, Carla, if you want to.
Oh, okay. Hold on a minute. Had been a tough day. When Robert walked in and started talking, Sailor ran to him and reached up. Robert didn't seem to be bothered at all, and instead held my son off and on for the whole 45 minutes that he was in our home. He snuggled him close while I folded laundry. It was a huge relief to this tired mama. Robert could have walked in, rushed, and left, but instead he saw the need greater than the internet and met it. That's beyond customer service. It's humanity at its best. Robert deserves a raise, a promotion, something. He is an asset to the company, and I will never forget his kindness. Sincerely, Jessica.
And see, that goes to the theme of our topics for this week. It takes that one opportunity to become a part of something bigger than of ourselves. And when we allow that to occur, and we allow that to grow and nurture, even the Spectrum internet guy can take time out of his day to do the right thing, because as we say before, that doing the right thing is the right thing to do, because you can't go wrong with right. Because he literally created that better environment to create that better results, because he knew, number one, it wasn't about him, it was about them.
He could have easily said, I'm getting out of here just as fast as I can because this is my break time anyway. So I'm going to go by the Quick Trip and get myself a soda on the way to my next call. And he didn't do that. He stayed there and helped the mom out.
Right.
Hey, Chris, I got a question for you. And I've heard you say that about doing the right thing a couple of times. When I was in my master's program, the majority of students that were with me were nurses, and I'm in community health education. So we had a different perspective sometimes on how to address problems. Sometimes both sides are so sure that they're right, that the conflict doesn't get resolved just by conversation. It's something that's got to run its course. So, for example, nurses were complaining about how people that were coming across the border and giving birth in hospitals here, and they couldn't turn them away. And they were saying they were just coming over here to get free health care. And a third of my check is going towards my insurance. So how is that fair? And then it became actually an egocentric argument where both sides could see what was right for them. It was right not to turn away a woman in labor. That's a humanitarian on my side. And then the nurse on her side was saying, but I want equal treatment for all, so they should be paying for it. We should not have our hospitals going into debt by taking care of people that don't have insurance. There's no right answer to that. Sometimes it's a matter of both sides feel so right that you have to find a way to work together again. What does your organization have in its disposal or in its bank of ideas to help to bring a common ground when there are such strongly felt ideas of what right is? That's a humanitarian question. You're on mute, Chris. You're on mute, Chris.
Like I said, what spans the social issues of our time, I understand that those things are there, and I recognize that. But to me, leadership comes from a place of not only of responsibility, but understanding one's place in space that is what's happening to you at any given time. But when you relegate it also into business, about doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, when it's just like if someone comes in to a workplace, says they only going to do X, X, and X, and that's it, that's not really adding value to the team or to the end result goal, which is the clients and customers that they serve and everything like that. So to me, leadership is about recognizing about doing that right thing and holding people accountable for the actions that they produce, whatever that might be. It's just like what I was just asked: who creates a better environment? Well, we all have a part to play in that better environment. We as individuals can create that better environment together, and we have to recognize the part that we play into that. Are we going to be intentional about it? Number one. Number two, are we going to make it a positive environment for everyone involved in that? And then number three, can we meet people where they are and understand where are they coming from? Are they willing to do the right thing and they know it's the right thing to do? Or are they just about themselves, just like what John C. Maxwell says in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership? The greatest myth right now out there when it comes to leadership is we equate leadership and management to be one and the same, but they're total opposites of the spectrum. They're not even remotely close. And once we recognize that and embrace that and say, hey, how can we make that better and everything? I truly believe that. So I'll go to you, Dan. What you're thinking right now? What's your thoughts on all this?
I'm sorry, Chris. Would you mind just repeating that last two sentences?
I want to hear your
I
thoughts.
had a lot of feedback.
What's your thoughts right now?
Oh, yeah, I could tell you a story, and this kind of goes to the theme of today about doing something a little bit bigger than yourself. A couple of years back, it was about 2 years ago, I wanted to take some time to volunteer. So I took about, thought to myself, I have about 10, 15 hours a week to volunteer my time to something bigger than myself. So, I kind of started at the church, and was thinking about helping around it. What I ended up doing in that day, I seen an ad, and that ad was for a DOT construction instructor to teach construction trades to a nonprofit here in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. And the nonprofit was a place that was a transition program. So it took people who had just come out of prison, and it was training, the whole program was integrating them back into real life and helping them in every way that they could. So I went down to the place and ended up talking to who the lady who ran the place, and ended up taking on the position as a construction trade instructor. So my job, it was for the next 3 months, was to train my students who were, previous inmates and getting back into the real world, construction trades. And it was, now I had students from, folks who had been in prison for 40 years, down to people who had just been in prison for, 2 months or 3 months, or even some people who had gone to prison, had been out for a while, but needed this charity to help them. So after 3 months, it was a great experience. And about halfway through, I really got it, and I said, you know what? My job is not only to teach them construction trades, but it's to try to help them in their life and get them a job. So I took it upon myself to contact everybody I knew in the industry, everybody I didn't know in the industry, and really put a lot of effort into getting them interviews and things like that. And by the end of the class, somewhere, I think besides 3 students, and I had somewhere around 40 kids, not kids, adults, but they were placed in a job, whether it was temporary or full time. So that was like, when I got, it really big forward, and it was just doing something bigger than myself, and it was a great experience. And just a little bit of my background, but to that, I learned a lot from that experience, and they, in turn, students pay it back to new people who go through that program. So it's like a never-ending cycle of people passing it along, So it was a really good thing, but yeah, that's just what I wanted to share,
That's a great story.
Oh, thank you.
That it is. Thank you so much, Stan. But also, I have to go back to this video yet again, because this video is so powerful, and it comes from John C. Maxwell, and it is really truly powerful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this, and this is from Ed Millett when he was at Live to Lead last Friday, in which Carla was there, and just listen to what he said about belief.
You don't have to believe what I'm saying to be persuaded by me. You have to believe I believe what I'm saying. That's a massive difference. So many of you are spending all your time trying to get people to believe what you're saying. Your energy comes across as desperate, as a beggar, as less than, as secondary. You cannot overwhelm somebody with influence when you're constantly trying to get people to believe what you're saying. But if they believe you believe what you're saying, which is a completely different positioning, different intentionality, now you're somebody of persuasion. Everybody with me on that? Say yes.
Now, isn't that amazing? Belief can go a long way, not only in what we do individually, but going back to what we saw at the beginning of the conversation with that guy who starts to dance, and he believed in that dance was going to cause something. He just knew it because he just felt in his bones that that was what he wanted to do. And I believe that. And once that belief goes to others and they all embrace that, you see the momentum effect that goes from, like you said, Carlos, it goes to 2 to 4 to 8 to 10 to 12, and it just keeps going on and on and on. We can do that in our organizations today, and we can even do that in our communities today if we can recognize that the very same community that we live in is the very same community that we work in. They're interconnected and intertwined, and we truly believe in that. So I just know that what we're going to do here is going to be so powerful and very impactful in such a way. I'll go back to our mission statement. If I help you, you help me, then we help we. It's just that simple. Because sometimes you make it simple for people, they relate to you better. And if they believe you that you believe, what can we not achieve?
Well, I think if you believe in what your mission, passion, and purpose is, that it goes a long way to giving you resilience when you hit roadblocks. It gives you the ability to have tenacity when times get tough. And it also develops trust with other people, that they know that you're passionate about what you do, and you believe in what you're doing, and you believe in what is going to come of it. And then they're going to be more likely to want to join you. And I think everybody has a passion project in them, just like everybody has a book in them. Everybody has a project in them. They don't have the confidence to bring it forward because they think, well, who am I? Who's going to want to listen to me? There's somebody out there that wants and needs what you have that you're not voicing. So you have to get out there, and you may not, some people won't even understand it, but you have to get it out there and voice it, because it's not about you and being successful with a project. But if you think that what you have to offer can impact other people and help other people, that in and of itself is greater than what you're doing. It's for the greater good of people that you're doing that. It's something greater than yourself. And you're doing a disservice to somebody by holding on to it and not voicing the possibility and not talking to other people about it and growing that project. Just look where we would not be today if Chris had not gotten together with people long ago to start this project. And probably looking in hindsight, it looks different than what it looked like on day one. Yes, everyone's been through pitfalls. We've all been through pitfalls when we start a business, we start a cause, we start a volunteer project, whatever, start a movement. But if Chris had never talked to that one person about it, it wouldn't have spread to 2, and it wouldn't have spread to 3, and it wouldn't have spread to me. It wouldn't have spread to Sandy, and it wouldn't have spread to the 2 of you if he had kept it to himself. So we all have a project on us. Maybe that's my call to action. Don't be shy about talking about it. Because when you share it, other people are going to help you, and other people are going to give you different insights to help you grow it.
Especially when you're passionate about it, Carla, because it draws people in.
It does.
Yeah.
And Carla, you're literally making me cry right now, because it has started with that vision that I had many months ago, and look where we're at today.
I remember what it was like when I started. And I'm kind of like trying to get my grasp on what all was going on and how I could fit in. And the more I listened and the more I learned, the more I figured out how I could fit in. I never dreamt, number one, that I'd be talking live on a LinkedIn Live, you know, because I used to be concerned about what people's, you know, what if I don't say the right things? What if I don't use the right words? And, you know, what if my dog barks in the middle of the podcast, you know? But, and now it's, I don't care. You hear that, Graham? You got to get off the fly. Sorry, that's a little side. For Dan and Nancy, we Graham, who will comment, used to be on, we used to record these. But the people who went live were shy on us. And so I told Chris, I said, you get Graham on here for a live, and I will send you a gift card for a dinner. So the joke now is that Graham's got to get on live so Chris can get a dinner. But we all have to get out of our comfort zone and start talking about things, because we've got to make this world a better place. I'm not going to get political about it. I could probably sit around with a glass of wine for hours and talk about it. But we have got to be with our humanity. We have got to start doing the right thing in this world. Yeah. We've got to start treating each other as human beings with respect and kindness, no matter what our color is, what our melanin level, no matter where we come from. We're all human beings in this world. And we need to learn from each other. And we need to do that.
So I'll start with you then, Miss Sandy. What will be your call to action?
Well, I agree with Carla. I think that, you know, it doesn't matter what color a person's skin is or what religion it is or whatever. We've got to be nice to everybody. And if you are nice to people, it's much more likely that they'll be nice back to you. It's, you know, when you're nasty and you're, you know, it's just, it attracts the same kind of behavior. So if you're helpful and you're nice and you're good, then the chances are that if you need a hand sometimes, people will give you a hand because you were nice to them and helped them and so on and so forth. I mean, again, there's nothing that makes you feel better than helping someone else. I mean, really, it gives you such a good feeling. That's why volunteer work is a good thing to do, and good for you, Dan. And, you know, it's a matter of what kind of a life are you leading? And the more we can be human and help others to be the best they can be, then the better this world will be in the end. It's just, again, it's, you know, hate to say this again, guys, but it's not rocket science. It's a matter of just being a human being. And, you know, if we're human, we should be nice to each other. We should help each other. We should support one another. And if we can do that, the world would be a much better place. I mean, sadly, unfortunately, due to this pandemic and due to other things that are going on, there's a lot of places in the world today that are just a complete mess. It's just so sad. And people are dying, kids are dying, you know, it's terrible because people are doing horrible things, absolutely horrible things. And I've never understood why human beings have to be so awful. I've never figured that out. But it's certainly not what I was taught when I was growing up. And I've told you before, I grew up with a grandfather whose saying was, there are no bad boys and no bad girls. And, you know, he just felt that if you're nice to people and you're good to people, then they'll be nice back to you. And he just believed that everybody has good in them. And that's how he viewed the world. And it was a great lesson to learn from him. And also he was very generous. I mean, he raised thousands and thousands of dollars for bursaries and scholarships because he really believed education was very important. And for people who couldn't afford it, they should get the money so they could get the education. Right. And he was just, when he died, it was on the radio in Vancouver. And what they said was that, today the community of Vancouver lost a very important person, because my grandfather was well known in the community for all the things that he did to be helpful in the community, because he was a great volunteer, Dan. He did all sorts of things. It was just, what he did. So, what do you learn?
Yeah. So what would be your call to action, Dan?
Did you say me, Chris? I'm sorry.
I said, what would be your call to action?
Oh, just to help where I can. Start with my community, and branch from there, and then that community encompassing, friends of friends, workplace, things like that. Yeah, I've actually, one of the things I've been thinking about was just doing more volunteer work as well, but maybe trying to getting into some volunteer work to do go overseas and work with organizations that take care of water scarcity. Maybe like in places like Africa and India, and help with servicing water wells and things like that for the communities. Just because that's kind of where my background is construction and engineering and infrastructure. So yeah, that's kind of one of the action, and then just helping where I can.
Yeah, and like I said, Dan, I'm just so thankful and honored that you want to join us and everything like that. And if you can hold on for a couple of minutes, I'd like to talk to you further. But Nancy, what will be your call to action?
My call to action would be to not only take into account Main Street USA and the traditional standard of what is right and wrong, but to try and learn from the lessons of our history. I live in Chattanooga, and I often visit the place which started the March of the Trail of Tears, where Native Americans were dealt with by people who felt like they were doing the right thing for them. Taking their children, put them in school, taking their language, changing their names, causing them to change their lifestyle and their crops. And I have got to keep in mind that there are disenfranchised people in this country that cannot just step into the position of Main Street USA. They still need to be able to contribute to the conversation. They have to be able to understand how to help set the standards of right instead of becoming the targets of someone else's standards of right. I may not be the person that you need working with you, because I can't just think about what is comfortable for my own culture, but I deal with people in vulnerable populations all the time, and they will resent over anything else somebody coming in and telling them, I'm doing it for your own good. It's against everything that they believe is in their best interest. So we have to not only listen to them, but we need to be able to create a safe environment where they can express to us how our doing the right thing can sometimes be very damaging to them. That is how we deal with humanity.
Right. And it goes back to that one of our mission statements. Create better environments will create better results. And if you meet people where they are, everything will grow and thrive from there. And I truly love that, Nancy. I greatly appreciate that. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for another great and engaging conversation today for Conversations for Humanity. Carla will be hosting Humanity Happy Hour tomorrow, so hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow at 2:45. And Miss Sandy, thank you so much for being here today. Dan and Nancy, thank you also for joining in. And yes, Graham, please join us. And Brian, yes, please join us. I'm not just in it for the gift card now, mind you, Graham. I want you to really be on the call. That's from Carla, not from me. I really don't care either way, but please, Graham, we'd love to have you on the call. So thank you everyone for joining us
today, Chris.
Say that again?
I said thank you for letting me be a guest on your panel today.
I greatly appreciate it. And there'll be more to come, so hopefully we'll see you tomorrow too as well, Nancy and Dan. So can't stay on for a couple minutes and everything. But
Sure.
again, everybody, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow for Humanity Happy Hour.
I won't be there.